Hi everyone, this is Joy again with another video, and in today's video I just want to tell you guys why my husband and I decided to come out boldly and talk about our struggles. We got married some years back and we have been struggling to get pregnant. At first we didn't want anyone to know about it. Well, at first we were kind of skeptical because they say if you're trying, you have to try for a year before you're considered as someone who's struggling to get pregnant or to have kids. So we didn't want to tell anyone about it. So we waited and we were like, okay, let's hope it happens. And then it didn't happen. The first year it didn't happen. The second year it didn't happen. So we were like, what is happening? So for me, I already knew even before getting married, that I had ovarian cyst. But you know how doctors in Nigeria are, or I don't know if it's doctors in Africa in general, but the doctor didn't really go into details to tell me that this was going to affect my ability to get pregnant. So I just thought it was something that would go away, because that was actually what he told me. He said it was a condition that would go away as I kept having my periods. He said it was a normal thing for girls my age. Meanwhile, I was about 21, 22 years old then. So I was like, okay, since it's going to go away, I don't have to bother myself about it. So getting married, I didn't know this was going to affect me, but then it kept getting worse and worse and worse. The cyst kept growing instead of shrinking like the doctor told me. He didn't give me anything to shrink the cyst. He just gave me antibiotics to manage my pain. So I was like, okay, let me trust the word of the doctor and just take the antibiotics. I went ahead and took the antibiotics, and the pain completely went away. It stopped. So in my mind, I was like, okay, the cyst has gone. So getting married, I started having these pains again, and I would go to the doctor and they would check and check and check and tell me there was nothing wrong with me. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night due to serious pelvic pain, and I'll be rushed to the hospital and they will tell me there was nothing wrong with me. They will check and tell me the cysts are very little, that they shouldn't be causing this kind of pain. So fast forward to another year later, my husband and I were still trying, but then something happened. He left Mexico for the US, so it became very difficult again, because he would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it became difficult to actually say what the problem was. And at this point, I decided that I was going to let everyone know what we're going through, because people don't understand when a couple gets married and they don't start having kids immediately. You start getting questions from family members, from parents, from family members, and even from people who are not related to you, from friends, from acquaintances, and all of that. So people started asking questions, and the only people that knew at this point that we were struggling were my parents and my husband's parents. We told them what the problem was. So I had to start writing about it on my blog. I started writing about it. I wrote about my struggles. I started writing it on all my social media platforms. On my Facebook page, I would write my blog and post it, and everyone who read my blog would read about it. The reason why I started doing this was not to draw any pity party to me or to myself, but I think sometimes, or in fact all the time, when you're going through something and you don't share it, it almost seems like you're carrying a burden. You're carrying a burden yourself. So for me, I decided to do that, and I just wanted people to know what I was going through, what my husband and I were going through, so that they will stop asking all the silly questions people ask you when you're trying to conceive, or when you're struggling in any area. So I decided to let people know that this was what we're going through. And my husband and I, we stood our ground and said we're going to trust God, because we know his power. We know that there's power in his word. We know that his word is true. So we're going to trust in his word and see what he will do in our lives. So we decided to let people know, and I started telling people about it, telling friends about it, that this is what I'm going through. And I think it's not as if when you tell someone about it, it's not like it will make the situation any better, except you have people who are praying for you, which is also a very important something very important. If you have someone who's like really contending for you and someone who's really praying for you, then you can tell the person the whole thing. But apart from that kind of person, the rest of them, you just tell them like, okay, this is what I'm going through, simply because you don't want them to ask you questions, you know. So that was the reason why my husband and I decided to come out and tell people our struggle and what we're going through as a couple. All right, I hope you found something in this, found something interesting in this video. Please leave your comments below, leave your questions, and I'm gonna keep you guys posted on our journey through. I don't like calling it infertility, because you know, I don't want to call myself an infertile person, because I believe in the power of words. So I just call it our struggle, because I know that the struggle is for a season. It's not gonna last forever. It's for a season. So I want to call it a struggle and not our journey through infertility. Okay, so like I said before, go ahead and leave your comments below, and if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe right now. Have you done it? Just go ahead and click the red button you see right there, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.